Hey guys, and welcome back to my kitchen. But in case this is the first time you're stopping by, my name is Gina and I'm a wife and mother from the Midwest, and I enjoy cooking meals for my family, and sometimes I make videos of my recipes and I share them here on YouTube. Today I'm going to be showing you one of my favorite winter comfort food meals, and it's a recipe for white bean chicken chili. This is a crock pot creamy version, so it is definitely different from the other version I have posted on my channel under soups, stews, and chilies. That one is a broth-based stovetop recipe, and this one is chock full of cream cheese and everything that's right with the world. This will definitely satisfy your winter woes for sure. So without further ado, let's jump into our ingredients because it is 10:24 and I need to get this crock pot on. So first and foremost, you're going to need some chicken. I'm using chicken breast tenders. These are actually still partially frozen, and that's totally fine. You can use chicken breasts, you could use boneless, skinless chicken thighs, whatever kind of meat you like, but around 1 pound. You could technically omit it if you were looking to make this a vegetarian recipe and then just sub the chicken stock for vegetable stock, but I'm not going to talk too much about that. So we are going to be using some chicken stock as our base. I would recommend using stock versus broth just because it is heartier and has a better flavor, but if you only have access to broth, that will be totally fine. The beans we're going to be using are Great Northern beans, and I'm sure you're well aware there are a wide variety of white beans available in the canned bean aisle. I prefer to use Great Northern beans because they're a little bit firmer, and when I'm cooking in the crock pot, I don't want them to be overly disintegrated by the end of the day. So I prefer to use Great Northern beans, but you could use butter beans or cannellini beans if you wanted to. Next thing you're going to need is some corn. I usually like to use fire roasted corn in this recipe, but I only was able to find whole kernel sweet corn, so we're going to be using that. You can use canned or frozen, but equivalent to, this is usually 1.5 cups is what is inside of cans. So if you're going to use frozen, 1.5 cups. We're going to need some canned enchilada sauce, and this is a, here, 15-ounce can, and I'm gonna use like 3/4 of this, like 10 ounces of this. So if you find a smaller can, go ahead and get the smaller can. I would like to suggest that you use mild enchilada sauce and mild green chiles if you can find them, because I did it with the medium ones last time, and since there is such a large condensation of chiles, it was a little bit too spicy. It was just uncomfortable to eat. So mild green enchilada sauce, and then 2 cans of these diced green chiles, and these ones don't say mild on them. These ones just say green chiles on them, but anyways, use 2 cans of those. Moving on, sorry, we're not focused. There we go. To season our chili up, we're going to be making essentially a simple taco seasoning with some chili powder, cumin, and oregano. I am using ancho chili powder because I happen to have it, but you can use whatever normal chili powder you have, just the regular kind. I just happen to have ancho, so I'm using that. We're also going to be using some paprika. I'm using smoked paprika right here, and this brand is so good, guys. I saw Gordon Ramsay using it. It's called La Chinata. It says it is sweet paprika, but it's very, very smoky. So a little bit goes a long way. This was like $8 on Amazon, and I highly recommend it. Except for the only thing that stinks is this container is super inconvenient. Cute, but inconvenient. Moving on, of course, you're going to need some salt and some pepper, and we're going to also put some cilantro into the pot while we are cooking. This is a very simple dump and go style recipe. As you can see, I have some cream cheese here, and we will be adding that in the end. You don't want to simmer that the whole day. I've never done it, but I've heard it can separate the sauce from overcooking it. So let me go ahead and open my cans and drain my beans, and I will be back. Oh, and I do want to mention before I sign off on this section of the video, we are going to top our chili in the end of the day with a whole bunch of mix-ins like avocado, cilantro, shredded cheese, probably like tortilla chips, things of that nature. So I'm not including that in the ingredients, but you can use whatever your family likes. All right, guys, so I tossed my chicken back in my microwave for just a minute. Hey, I'm going to defrost it for like on half of a pound setting, just so it's not like a rock hard block. Whenever you're cooking chicken in the slow cooker, you do not have to be afraid to like put it in there when it's partially frozen or frozen, because chicken cooks on low in 4 hours to a shredded consistency, and we're going to be cooking this for 7 hours on low in my particular case, so it'll be totally fine. So don't worry if your chicken's, you know, if you have whole chicken breasts that are frozen, toss them in. Like, it's not a problem at all. So first thing that we did was drain and rinse our beans and our corn. I'm going to toss that in. I have opened up our other canned goods here. Sorry, it's a little foggy looking because it's so bright inside this window. It's finally sunshiny out here in Chicago. It's been so gloomy, so I'm very happy about that, but it's making the video a little bit less clear than usual. I'm going to add in our Hatch chili sauce or enchilada sauce, and I'm going to just leave a little bit in the bottom there. I am going to add both cans of our diced green chilies. And I did taste these just to see. They're definitely not spicy, so we'll be all right. And furthermore, the reason I'm leaving a little bit of this in here is because when I started making this recipe, I always used a 10-ounce can, and I haven't been able to find that. And we're not going to be using thickener in this soup unless we need it in the end. So I just don't want to thin it out too much. All right, now that I keep getting that on my hand. Next thing we're going to do is add our chicken stock in. So I should have opened that before I got back on camera. Whew, I have arthritis, guys, and opening stuff is very difficult for me sometimes. Sorry about that. Yes, I know. I'm only 34 and I have arthritis, but I do. All right, we're going to add that into our pot. And then I'm going to give this a nice mix, and I'll be back in a second with our spice mixture. Okay, guys, so I've stirred that up and I tossed our chunk of chicken in, and it literally is a chunk. So it's you know, partially defrosted, but it's no problem because this is going to be shredded up in the end. So in a couple hours, I'll go and I'll separate it a little bit better and it'll cook through just fine. For our spice mixture, we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on here. I have a tablespoon of cumin, a tablespoon of chili powder. I have about a half a teaspoon of paprika, 3/4 teaspoon of oregano, 1/4 teaspoon black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And we're just going to mix this right in. I realized I didn't add garlic powder to this recipe initially, but you can add it if you want. Add up to a half of a teaspoon. But since there's enchilada sauce and all these chilies in there, you're not really going to taste it that much. But I think I'm going to go ahead and add half of a teaspoon of garlic for it. And then just go ahead and put the lid on this and let it simmer. I'll be back in a couple of hours to show you how the chicken is ready to separate and that it's cooking through, just in case you're going to be using frozen chicken like I am. And I'll talk to you later. All right, guys, it has been about 6 hours, 7 hours, something like that. We've got about an hour left on the cook time. I'm going to go ahead and open this up for you. I do want to mention, I totally forgot to videotape earlier that you need to chop like 3 tablespoons of the cilantro and add it to the pot, but I didn't think that was that big of a deal, hence I mentioned it to you now. This is what it looks like right now. It looks like a chicken noodle soup almost, with a bunch of chiles in it. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out a chicken tender. Should be ready for me to shred it up, so let's see. Yep, we're good to go. So what I'm going to do is I am going to remove our chicken tenders to this bowl. I'm going to shred them up into chunks and pull off any fat or anything that's undesirable. And while I do that, I'm going to chop our cream cheese up into squares, and then I'm going to whisk that into our chicken chili here. So I'll be back to show you what that looks like. All right, guys, so this is what we're looking at. All information up front. I don't know what the phrase I'm looking for. Being upfront with you guys, I realized I got overexcited with the chicken stock. I added the whole container of chicken stock when I was dumping the ingredients in. Sometimes it's a little hard to film and talk at the same time, but really you're only supposed to add 2 cups in. So my soup was a little bit watery, more watery than All right, guys, so this is what it looks like after I've blended in the cream cheese. There's still a couple little lumps here and there, but those are going to melt over the next hour while this finishes coming together. Being completely transparent, I am a dingbat, and when I was adding the chicken stock, I got overexcited and added the entire container of chicken stock. I'm just checking to see how the beans are doing. Yep, nice and whole still. When in reality, you're only supposed to be adding in 2 cups for this recipe. So I have some Wandra here, which in case yours is too thin, I will just go ahead and talk about this. One of my followers actually told me about this on here. This is super fine flour. And you don't have to like mix it with butter or anything to use it to thicken soups, stews, or gravies. So I'll just show you because it's not going to hurt to add a little bit extra. You can just dump it in there, literally. And then I'm just trying to mix carefully because I don't want to break up my beans. They look pretty good, but I really like to have some nice toothsome whole beans in there. So, and then it just thickens it right up for you. So in the event that you add too much liquid like I did, or you just want it to be a little bit thicker, you can use Wandra. You could use cornstarch if you wanted to, make a slurry, or you could use the traditional blending of some flour into some butter and then melting that into your stew or your whatever you want to call it, chili. But I will make an edit to the video during the ingredients part when I'm adding the 2 cups, or excuse me, the entire container of chicken stock accidentally, and I will mention that it is only 2 cups so that if you guys are following this recipe, you don't make the same mistake. I have my chicken here. It's all shredded up, as you can see, nice and tender, super easy, fell right apart. I try to shred it in a little bit larger of pieces. I said this in another video, and I know, Evelyn, how do you shred things in larger pieces? Well, this is how, this size pieces. And I'm just going to go ahead and add this back into the pot. When you're adding the cream cheese, don't get discouraged. It does take a while to blend it in. So I actually kicked up my crock pot into high gear on high heat. So that way it melted down a little bit quicker. But if you're in a hurry for whatever reason, you can put your cubes of cream cheese in a microwave safe bowl and just microwave them for, I don't know, probably about 45 seconds or until they're room temperature or softened. So, oh my goodness, this looks so good, guys. It's thick and creamy and full of chiles and corn and chicken and creamy, delicious cream cheese. Technically, this is done right now. It just needs to finish heating through to raise back up to a nice hot temperature. So, I mean, this technically has another hour to go on it, but I'm actually just going to put it on warm because I don't want my chicken to disintegrate. So, if you were at work while you did this, it wouldn't hurt it to leave it the full time. Absolutely not. And if you had larger chicken breasts, maybe yours needed more time. But I was using chicken breast tenders, so I'm good to go. I'm waiting for my husband and his dinner guests to come over, and I'm going to go about my business, and I'll be back to show you what toppings we put on them and get a taste test. Alright guys, so it is dinner time, and here is our soup. I didn't put my toppings on yet, and my husband's videotaping me for some reason. We have dinner guests today. This is Jordan and Brett and DeAndre, and my husband Daniel. So the toppings that we're doing today, we're doing avocado, cilantro, and cheddar cheese.
The avocados are cut with the utmost excellence.
Thanks, they're like pre-chopped.
Oh my god. So
do you guys want sour cream? We could also put sour cream if you want sour cream.
I'm good like this. I'm good like this.
Alright. Alright guys, will somebody give me a taste test and let us know what you think of the soup?
Allow me. Allow me.
Pretty good.
Is good?
Very good.
I'm glad you like it.
It's perfect.
Alright guys, you just got 4 taste tests today instead of 1. So, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you liked it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you loved it, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.